Hello everyone and welcome to yet another live coding and chill. I'm your host Johnny, delighted to be here. I hope you've had amazing weeks and you're gonna have an even better Friday and weekend. Today we're gonna be going back on the trivia train, the web app quiz type of app that we've been building with this chat UI interface, and we're gonna be turning it into a roguelite type of game, which are super popular right now, even though they're based from based on a game that is even older than I am. So in 1980, a game I didn't play, Rogue, I was -5 at the time, was a bit of a hit, I guess, for the time, but its legacy cannot be understated because the things that this game was doing are still very, very, very relevant in game design. Today, lots of modern smash hits and critical darlings are using them, the concepts that this game introduced. Like, how many years is it? It's like 40 years ago, 45? That's getting up there. But for more recent games that are doing stuff like that, Balatro, the card game, Hades, an action roguelike, Monster Train, speaking of trivia train, there are some games you may know about, but what we'll be doing today is taking some of the concepts of using RNG to seed a map of the world and getting a player through it, and if they survive all the way to the end, then they get a high score and they get to play again or something like that. Having power-ups within the run, perma-death, as it is called in a game over screen, essentially, where you have to try again. The idea, I guess, with Rogue is how much replayability can I get out of a game? I don't want to design like a million levels by myself because I'm only a human designer, a couple engineers at the time, but I have the assets, I have the logic, I have the gameplay loop. What can I do to make this more replayable? And the answer was RNG. It gives a random number generator to randomize quite a few elements of the game itself. So every time you play, you have different floors, different rooms, different dungeons, different whatever you want to call them. I'm sure there are many videos that explain the concept of a rogue game or a roguelite game, which are games that are taking some elements of this style of game and applying it to maybe other genres. I would suggest playing one of the ones that are available for free, and then you'd get it. The idea here is that we'll have a finite but large amount of questions, maybe categorized on difficulty levels, and also categorized on a few different tracks, because we have the train theme. So we'll say, this is the mythology track, this is the computer science track, this is the sports track, whatever. And then randomly you are positioned on one, and maybe every so often you have the chance to change tracks and go to a different category. So the other important element of those games is that even though there is randomness, there is the feeling that you're in charge of your own fate. Of course, skill matters. If you actually know the answers of all the questions, then you'd always win. The same as those games, maybe not always. Sometimes just RNG doesn't allow you to win. But the better you are at the game, the more likely you are you're gonna finish it. Same theory here, that if you know the answers to the questions, then of course you do better. But if you have the ability to choose a category, one that maybe you're feeling stronger in, then you may feel more rewarded for that. It's like, should I go for sports? Like, am I feeling like a 3 difficulty level sports or a 3 difficulty level computer science? Or maybe on a category that you haven't picked often, then you have a better score multiplier. So the risk and reward element is also something that makes these games exciting, and we'll try to apply them to this thing. How this applies to general web development and app development, the RNG factor, random number generator, random numbers for web apps, especially for JavaScript, is a big subject, so we'll use this platform to talk about it, how to test things that require randomness. That's a big thing. So I'm excited for today. We have a large agenda because there is going to be game design today, even though the agenda is large and my iced coffee cup is super filled to the brim. We'll see how long we'll go, because with game design, sometimes you just need to relax and rethink the concept and see how we do. Hello, Bide in the chat. Hello, everyone. watching. Let me know what you're up to today. Are you coding along with me? Are you playing any roguelite games or any of the sort? Let me know. I'm interested. Of course, in the description, you can find links to the actual app. You can play today's quiz, and I'll be adding a new one after the stream as I'm thinking about what we've done today. It's triviatrain.app. Easy enough to type down, even with my accent. Triviatrain.app. We've unlocked this because someone did subscribe to JOHNNIFY Premium, which also gets you all of this code, all of the private code we're doing in the live streams, which is quite a lot of value. All right, so on to the fun parts. We've talked about this and what are roguelike games really. So what do we need to do now? We won't replace the existing game, the standard game, which is like a curated experience. If you have an account, you too can create a new quiz there and then share it with your friends and have them play. But it's my quizzes that make it to like the front page here that get selected. So these will stay. The curated quizzes will stay. There is something to say about the element of a design game after all. So a real person designing the flow of the questions. I think that's irreplaceable, so we'll keep that. But we also want to add the roguelike mode. So the first thing to do is to create a new route. And I'm not particularly sure about naming things because it's one of the two hardest things in engineering, famously. And I'm wondering, should it be like play? Should it be like rogue and then take a seed, or what should it be? Not sure. Not sure at all. Should it be /challenge? Where would you go like to play this? We either want like /challenge, because maybe it's like daily challenge, or rogue. But do people know rogue games? Trivia Train Rogue? The Trivia Train Rogue does sound kind of fun. So a rogue terrain is on the loose. So maybe that's the one I'll do. But since we may be replicating quite a lot of things from how our current quiz is going, I will call it rogue. Should it be place less rogue actually? Maybe. Maybe. Play rogue. Why not? So just a directory there, and we'll think about what the seed should be later. Another thing, everyone can play the quiz, even if they're not logged in or if they are logged in. But for this one, because we'll need to manage quite a lot of state, more state than we can save in cookies, which is what we're doing currently for this quiz, we will need users to be logged in. We won't have the concept of anonymous user here because we will need to store the game state to the database, and it will just be easier if I can tie a real user ID to that one. Hello Indra in the chat as well. Thanks for saying hi. So I'll just like copy everything here from the play route and see what we get. So play/rogue is where we want to be. All we need for our route in SvelteKit to exist, we need to reflect the path in the URL in our directory structure in the app. So in source, routes, play, rogue, we need a +page.svelte. And if we say like hello here, we'll just see the hello on the left. And that's all well and good. But what I will want is probably quite a lot of what we have in that other game mode. But maybe not. Maybe I should just like delete everything and move on with my life. Would we be asking the user to start a new game? I'm not sure. It will be the same chat interface, so maybe we will be asking you whether to start a new game or not. Start a new run. we'll think about it. These are the things that I'm saying that after the stream I'll take some time to reflect and see what is up. I'll definitely... We'll have an answer form, I'm sure, and we'll have like the same chat interface, but it may be slightly different. We'll see. There is not going to be a quiz cookie, and we're not going to be setting any cookies for this. So let's delete all that stuff. We're not going to have an ID parameter captured here. And we won't have a quiz, really. We won't have any quiz logic, actually. What will we have? We will have chat messages, for sure. Let's just return empty for now. And we'll see if we'll return this. I guess maybe even a form I don't want just yet. It will be something different. Having coffee too? Nice. Is it iced coffee? Here the temperature is getting quite high. But I don't have enough water glasses that are like crystal, which always make iced coffee look even better if you can see through it, if you can see the ice cubes. I find it tastes better. And let's just always have the answer for here. And we'll see. The idea is the same. We'll get some server messages that will be asking us the questions, or if we want to switch tracks or something like that, and we'll be freestyling the answer here. So that's a big differentiator for our quiz. Usually games like to give you multiple choice answers because it's easy to say, this is the question, is the answer A, B, or C, or D, and then you just select one of them and you can easily, cleanly see if you got the correct answer or not. What we're doing when it comes to free text, because people can respond to the same question correctly, but in many, many different ways. If they don't exactly respond the way we expect, we ask chat-gpt whether their answer is valid. So we'll see. Sweetie is asking if I liked animation on the Svelte, the Vercel app. So if you join the Discord, you'll find like tons of cool things that not just I submit, other people submit as well. And Vide submitted this one, which has quite a lot of cool effects. My favorite has to be the Emil Kowalski effect, that is the dynamic island effect from Apple, but done in CSS, but implemented with Svelte. So have a look. Have a look at that. And apparently there are even more components added. I'll have a look after the stream. But yeah, join the Discord if you want to see cool things like this. Right. So when we submit the form, we'll figure out eventually what we'll be doing. Comma expected, it says. It's unlikely. Text reveal effect. I love a text reveal effect, indeed. Could be cool for answering questions as well. Was it correct or not? Boss fights are also big in roguelike mode, so we'll see. Maybe we'll have like extra animations for bosses. I don't know exactly what form they will take. And let's just return. I'm just keeping this boilerplate for later, which I probably shouldn't be doing. But won't be worrying about the form just yet. All right, so this thing, this server plus page of server.ts is returning data for our UI here to read. And one of the things it returns is all the messages that this needs to have, which will include the questions. And I'm categorizing them to assistant messages, user messages, and what we did in the last trivia train stream was a share message. So when you finish the quiz, you get like a large message that urges you to share this to your friends. So because that's how things go viral. When people share their results and they see like they got 9 out of 10, that's a fun result. And having a nice share button helps. Anyway, we'll be doing the same logic, but maybe in this case, the assistant messages maybe even further broken down. So an assistant message maybe will be like a boss message or who knows what. Yeah, that's something to design. The simpler one, assistant message, would be, this is a question, you need to answer the question. But it could be, here's 3 power-ups, which one would you like to select? And then you click a button there, is what I'm thinking. But also, the thing is, let me just check indents and if there is like a nice chapter to... maybe we can do the protected route. But on game design standpoint, I think this route, what I want is for the server to be checking, do you have a latest game? Have you played a road game before? And if you haven't, then create a new game for you and you can start playing and it's all fine. Maybe there is like an action from you, or maybe you just start up the new game and that's it. But if you have a game in progress, in theory, you should resume that game and maybe in the future you can have the option to abandon this run without you just failing. A quick way to abandon game. So I'll add this as a bonus feature. Derail. Maybe the game over screen will be derailing. That'd be fun. So yeah, the responsibility of this would be to pick up the game that you have in progress or create a new game for you so you can start playing right away. But we are saying that as far as our schema is concerned, we will want the user to be logged in. So for that, we can protect this route. We have to protect this route actually somehow. So yeah, I've talked about my early thoughts. Let's quickly do something that I know how to do. Let's protect this route. So for now, we've decided that when you play to /play/rogue, then you play the rogue mode, the challenge mode. That's all fine and good. That's amazing. But we've decided that only logged in users will be able to play this mode. So that's something we should protect against. And we're doing this to simplify how the game would work. For the regular quiz, we're using cookies to manage the state. And there is actually an amount of kilobytes that you are allowed to write in the browser for the user to have. So a specific cookie usually can be up to 5 kilobytes, and we'll need way more state for that. So we'll use a database for this, and we want to easily tie user messages, the game state, to a particular user. And the easiest way to do that is to only allow people to play after they've logged in. So how will we protect this route? Well, in SvelteKit, you have this concept of a hook. Everything runs, every request to your web app is going to be running through any hooks that you have on your hooks.server.ts, any handle that you have. And what we've done is broken up its hook into what it's doing. So we have the auth handle that is using Lucia auth to authenticate whether you have a logged in session or not. We've shown these things in previous playlists. But we also have the protected routes handle. Helena in the chat, let me know what your question is and I'll see if I can answer. So we have the protected routes handle. We are already not letting anonymous users just guess to go to the profile route. So indeed, if I try go in incognito window, like profile, I get it directed to login. And if the path name starts with quiz, you also go back to the home page. And that's because, as we've shown before, logged in users have the ability to create quizzes, and all of this logic is nested at the quiz route. So to view your quizzes, like even the quizzes route, like it starts with quiz. So we're checking for that. Anonymous users shouldn't be able to get in there. So the question is from Nana, how do you do the go back animation for a page? So you may notice, like from the about to trivia train, like if I click to about, if I navigate normally by clicking, then the page comes in from the right. Like it's the new page coming in. Usually things from the right, we perceive that they're coming in. It comes from theater. But if I use the back button, then you can see like back, forward, or the keyboard shortcut for this. So if I do command left, it goes to the left, and vice versa. So the question from Nana is, how do I do that? I would suggest watching the short videos that I've made on the view transitions API and the list to detail of view transition. But in those videos, I haven't actually shown how we do the back transition. It's something that I left as an exercise to the viewer, but there is some discussion in the comments there that tells you how you can do it. Now, how I actually do it, to answer this, is that I have some CSS that says, well, if on the root there is a data bank, so root is the HTML element. Every page has a root. Every HTML page has a root. And in the case of the whole document, it's this, the HTML. If the page has a data-back attribute, then I play a different transition. If it doesn't, as I've shown to those two videos that I've mentioned, then I play the fade out to left for the old page. So the old page, like the trivia train, goes to the left. Trivia train will go to the left, and the about page will come from the right. But if there is a data back attribute, I play the opposite transitions. So if there is a data back, so if I press the browser back button or use the shortcut to go back, then the train will fade out to the right. So if there is a data back in the HTML, then this CSS is going to be what's going to be applied, because this is more specific than this vanilla one. So that's why the animations are different. Now the question is, how does data back make it into the HTML? And that may be what you're really asking for. There are a few ways to do this. One that I found is easiest and good enough is in the onNavigate method that SvelteKit has kinda recently added, that I mentioned in the videos, and we're doing all the things needed to do the view transitions. I'm checking the navigation delta, because I have found that on navigate gives you the navigation object. If you check the navigation delta and it's negative, then it means you're using like the back state. Like if you're going back multiple steps, then it's going to be minus like 5, however many steps you have. But if it's just one back, it's still minus 1. So if it's negative, it means that the user is trying to go back. And if that's the case, then I add that data back in the HTML. If it's not, then I remove the data back from the HTML, so the normal animation will apply. So I think that's good enough for most use cases, but you can go, crazy or crazy clever, crazy like Fox to this and complicate it as much as you need. For example, you may say that, oh, if I go back to the root page, then it should play a back animation. And you can have some logic there to check the to URL to see, is it the root page? And then also put data back. Or another thing that may be fun is you could check, if I'm editing this quiz, you can check how many slashes are on the path name. Because usually if there are more slashes on the page you're on than the place you're going to, then you're kind of going back. So I'm now in the detail for the quizzes. And if I go there, then I'm going back somewhere else. But, I think that's like overcomplicating it. But that may be something that you're going to do. So again, where we run the onNavigate hook, depending on some logic, we either add a data back to the HTML element or remove it, and there is respective CSS that says if things are normal, play the normal animation, but if the HTML has a data back, then play the reverse animation. And that's it. Let me know if I managed to explain this correctly. When I do the short videos, I manage to explain this perfectly because I prepare for them. I have like the things set up for me and I know what I'm gonna say. So now maybe it was a bit rambly, but there you go. This is how you do the back animations, like this. And great question. I love the Vue Tangents API. It keeps getting more and more supported. Safari is coming next. It's gonna be cool. But in regards to protecting routes, we have the protected routes handle, which is one of the handles our hooks file runs, and we're saying if they are in a profile page or a quiz-like page, then check if they're authenticated. If we don't have a user in the locals, it means they're not authenticated. So we just need to extend this and say path name starts with play rogue. Then you also get redirected to login. I think that's fine. There is a thing to say that maybe you want to tell the user that they need an account to like play the rogue game, but we'll figure that out. Maybe you want the user to maybe you want the user to see the splash screen for the rogue game, and then you tell them login instead of play, and then there is like yet another route for that. But I'm not sure. We'll see. Now that we are logged in, you see we can see this. We weren't logged in before, so we get kicked out of this page. So this is the protected routes done. I will say these two, and then we need to do database stuff. finally. So we want to create like a new game or do something like this here. Yeah, for now I won't have like a splash screen. You could have something maybe here in play. You could have in the end, like besides the share screen. You could say try the roguelike mode. I think that'd be good, and then it gets you like to the rogue page, and that's it. But you could have like a marketing page for the roguelike mode as well. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that let's type this as quiz message. I think we have a quiz message here. So the moment we add this, we see like the new run message or something. If you don't have a name in progress, it's a quiz message array, of course. So if there is no game in progress, we need to send the user a new message saying welcome, like new seed, whatever, and hit them with the first question. And if there is a game in progress, then we need to figure that out as well. So how would we do that? What would we actually say? I think this time we will have quite a few tables. Before, just for the quiz, we had a database table, a few database tables. We're using Drizzle to connect to a Turso SQLite database. So we had the quizzes table, and we had the questions table, and cast evaluations. This is for hitting chat-gpt with a question. I guess our roguelike mode could also be using this cast evaluations table, actually. But we'll think about this. The point is, for the roguelike game, what would we need? We'd need like a games table, like rogue games table. We'd need a rogue questions table, and maybe we'd need like a messages tied to a specific game. Instead of deriving the messages based on a quickie like we did before, I think I would be saving all the messages there. So that'd be neat, I think. And we are talking to a local SQLite, so no matter how much I mess things up, I think it's going to be just fine. I think it's going to be just fine. So, 30 minutes is where we were for this. Around 20 for this. And let's say we have the rogue mode tables. Let's say we have the rogue games, which we will underscore case, snake case. It should have an ID. It should be tied to a user every time, indeed. But this time the user is like the player. So let's say player ID. Let's make it a bit clearer. That looks at our users table. So the quizzes, someone creates them. I create the quiz and you play it. You're anonymous. But here, just to make it clear that a game belongs to a player from the users table. I'm naming this player ID. Created that, why not? Publish that. There is not going to be a concept of publishing. We're using publish that to queue up future quizzes, which is neat, and it will never be updated. Maybe they created that just, I guess, for analytics purposes, and it's not going to be deleted. We are using soft deletions for the quizzes as well. interestingly enough. So no deletions there. So we won't need this. So we'll have an ID, we'll have a player ID created at. What else would we have? It feels like we will need a seed. We'll talk about random seeds soon. Maybe it will have like a map, which would be like all the possible questions that it could have, but I'm not sure about that. But I am sure that it will be holding some sort of game state. But, like we could derive the score from other parameters, but maybe not. I'm not sure. Let's say that it does have a score. Default is 0. And what else does it have? It can have like user health or something like that. So it has the user score. This can just be like a JSON object as well. If we're not sure what we want to have, just to give us flexibility. But not sure. For now, just the score, and then we'll introduce the concept of player health. But then how many strikes is it until you're out? Not sure. Hit points. Would it be like something out of something else as well? That's kind of interesting. Like player data. And in Drizzle, how do you do JSON? Let's see. JSON. Just text, I guess. Oh, and you can even kind of type it here. Oh, what do we have? Max hit points. Current hit points. And that's it for now, I guess. This type thing is kind of interesting. And not null. Does default also have the magic dollar thing? Oh, I see. So default, this gets evaluated immediately. But dollar default is dynamic. Sure. So default. any indexes, any indices that we may want? Probably not. All right, so we'll have the rogue game itself. It will be tied to a player. It will have a random seed we'll be using for some things. And it may have the questions already there, like the map or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure actually, and we'll see. It will have the score, the high score, in an easily accessible manner in a separate column, and we'll have like a player data column that we may mess around with more later. Hope that sounds good to everyone. And then, guess we'll have rogue questions. So all the possible questions that could make it into a specific game would be in this table, rogue questions table. They won't be tied like this to a game specifically. This will be like a pool of questions that we'll be pulling from. They will have a prompt. I wonder if they will have like an answer like this or something else. They won't have an order. Maybe they'll have like a difficulty. Which should be positive, I guess. Default should be 1. But hey. Anything on constraints here? Different sort of constraint. Talking about foreign keys and that sort of thing. But I was thinking check whether this is more than 1, more than 0. Oh well. So this should be called difficulty. And it should have a category, and we probably need the categories table as well, don't we? And would a category have like a color, or what would they have? Should be select rogue game and insert rogue game. Question categories is what I want here. Class categories. Rogue categories. Let's call it categories. Should they have an ID? Yes. Should they have a name? Yes. Should that be unique? Should their ID be their name? Maybe. But then I guess if you want to change their human readable name, that's a problem. Enum column as well. Maybe like the category it's as an enum column on the table on the questions, on the row questions. Yeah, maybe that would be enough. So instead of a category, it's randomly here. Let's say that there are questions. It has a category. And the category is null. Sure. And the categories are gaming, fantasy, culture. What do you want us to do? Sports. 5 categories feel like enough. Dedicated math category. Dedicated SvelteKit category. So each question will belong to a category, will have a category. It will have a prompt, like who won the gold medal in the Olympics 2016 for swimming, 200 meters freestyle. And then I'm thinking they have a difficulty as well, which is good. Maybe we'll have like the soft delete functionality there. Soft deleting. But I'm thinking instead of an answer, it will have like a simple answer and like will be giving chat-gpt an instruction of when to get this valid. I was thinking that sometimes I have questions like name one main character from the cast of Friends. And then the answer that I have to put in the database is anyone from Ross, Rachel, Chandler, and so on. But no human will actually reply with that, like one of Rachel, Ross, or whatever. They'll reply with like Rachel, Phoebe, like one of those. So, do I want a column for the instructions we may want to give to the LLM on when to consider an answer valid? And this becomes like a simple answer would be this. And what would it be? Like evaluation suggestion, sensitivity hint, evaluation instruction. Yeah, just we have the cast evaluations table here, which we may actually get out. Should it be null? I'm not sure. I will have a look at the quizzes repo that we have. So what we send to ChatGPT is the question is, the question. The expected answer is the answer. Should this user's answer be accepted? And then we pass the user's guess. And we instruct sole leniency for spelling mistakes and minor variations, especially when dealing with names from different languages. And I'm wondering, should we, for the game, have like say like a simple answer simple correct answer is Simple accept the answer is this. And then we also have the instruction that we have in the database. Or not. I think so. So evaluation instruction makes sense to me. Should we always give one? Maybe not. Maybe it can be null. Some of the time the question is what year is it? And it's like the answer should be 2024 if it's 2024. Sometimes it is black and white. So maybe that's what we want. And cast evaluations, I called it cast ruling here. And should we put this in a different place? I guess so. Exactly the same. Let's check. Is this anywhere else? No. Is this anywhere else? No. All right. Cool. So we have our rogue games and our rogue questions, and our rogue game will have messages. These are the chat messages here for sure. Messages, just the message table, rogue messages. Is this what I want? Maybe. Like assistant, user, and maybe some other type of messages. That would be fine. And they're just tied to our old game, and that's it. You don't need to say, did the user say this or whatever. They're just the chat history. You don't need to do like owner ID, it's like it's the game or it's the user. I think that's fine. So they have a random ID. They don't have, they may belong to player. Would we want this? Can this be null? Maybe for a multiplayer thing. That would be important, but I don't think it'd be important now. I guess if a user wishes to delete their account, then we should delete after. We would be deleting the game itself, right? So that would also work. We definitely want game ID. Which references this Pro Games ID. And the question is, should we sometimes have the player ID there? I'd say no. We want them. Do we have no index on created that? Interesting. It's because we had an index on published that, right? Okay. It's coming to me. So here, I guess. This index and the messages too. We want the same thing in the end. Are these unique for the table or what? We'll find out. I don't want to prefix it if it's not unique for the table. All right, so the messages, they have an ID, they have a game ID, maybe they have a player ID sometimes. Does it really matter? Not really. See if it doesn't matter, just don't have it. Don't have it, mate. They have a type, which will be an enum again, like the category. Yes. So they have a type. Could be assistant, could be user, could be social from the ones we know. Maybe in the future it could be like boss or whatever. We'll see. Like shop, they have shops. They won't have a seed, they won't have the score or any other data. I think they just appear. And I guess maybe some messages have extra payload. So if it's like a shop message, they need content, I guess. Right? So should that be a JSON object? Should that be a JSON object? So the share message just has a text. Type is share. So they won't have a seed, they won't have a score. Would they have something other than just content? Text content? Would they have like a JSON content? Maybe they have like the text and then like some options is what I'm thinking. Like these. I guess they have like the is correct is current question, which is interesting. Interesting. The last one, if it's a system, is the current question. So they do have extra data, I guess, sometimes. Not metadata, what would I call it? Just a data column? Maybe. So yeah, let's do this classic. Let's have them have a content that's a string, kind of like the prompt. And they have a generic data or extra data, which maybe it can be null. Defaults to nothing, and therefore has no type. So it could have like is correct, for example. I wouldn't want the is current question to be part of the message like this. That'd be silly. So it's correct. Ah, but this is this TypeScript? Yes. If is correct was an attribute, then it would be slightly easier to query, maybe, but it doesn't matter. Let's just have like this console data thing. So yeah, each of these messages will either be an assistant message, a user message, or a server message. We will do things like bosses at some point, I'm sure. They will have a created data, they will have a content, and maybe they have the data, like is this correct or not. So let's do this type inference. We don't often use this, but hey, I guess this is where the data object type in it would come handy. Cool. These may be all the columns, all the tables that we need, but I'm thinking, what else do I want here in the game? So how Rogue games usually work, you have seed, which you use to seed your random number generator, because you want your random number generator to be producing random numbers, but if you tell it that, you also want it to be reproducible, I guess that's the balance. You want your random number generator to be generating random numbers, but sometimes you just want to see the same numbers play out. It's useful for testing purposes, but also in games, this is very, very useful because you may want to replay in the same word, in the same run, in that sort of thing. So even games like Minecraft, but Balatro and others, they take in a seed, like 2000, 3500, 46. It can be alphanumeric, it can be anything you want. The game may restrict it commonly to a number, but in reality it can be anything. And if you give it the same number, if I share the number to you and you put it in the game, it will generate the same run for you. Maybe you'll do different decisions, maybe you'll have make different decisions, and therefore it will play out slightly differently, but everything that was up to chance will play out the same for you. If we do the same thing will play out. Definition of insanity. If you always, if you're playing blackjack and it's like 20 and you are waiting for the ace and you're like hit me and hit me again, it will never happen if it didn't happen the first time if you're using a seeded random number generator. On the contrary, if you did get the ace right there, then with a seeded random number generator, it would always come up asking at that point for one more card. But do I want to store the seed itself in the game? I think that's what's commonly done. Or do I want to store the map, which would be, these are the questions that you're gonna get, and that's it. Then work yourself out there. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure. The thing is with the seed, if I keep using the seed, I don't know how many times it will have rerun before the way I'm planning to use it. So that's a consideration that I will think about offline. But it kind of makes me think that I will want the map to be generated beforehand. But what would the map look like? Like type game map. What would it be? Would it just be an array? Would it be different paths? Like, I should throw it out somehow. So the user in the beginning is in should be in a randomized track. So only computer questions, for example, whatever. One of the categories that we have, one of them you're in it. And after, let's say, 5 questions, they should be able to maybe fight the bots and then switch tracks, have an option to go from like A to B. So how would I represent that? Maybe with like solid row or something. Reject. So I'm thinking it would be like just want simple dots. Question. Game starts. Another question. Son asks, is there a library out there, or even a CLI command, that can do 1,000 attributes of a game to see how the game engines mean outcomes? I have looked at this in the past. I guess that you would just use like a random, a regular benchmarking library. There was a few open source projects that I think were shut down. I'm wondering if it's JS benchmark. There are libraries for this that you can run offline, but in my app, I could use something like this to run many benchmarks and then track some outcomes. This benchmark, not the one I'm thinking about. But if you're thinking, just use something that magically goes into any web game and then plays it all the way. I don't think that'd be possible. You'd need to manually write the playwright handles to be able to click and make some random decisions there. So I think the answer to what you're asking is in general no, but with using something like JS benchmark, you could write it so you can create your own benchmarks with it. But when we write a random number generator, we will have like a sample test just to check whether the random number generator works. I think this is the one I've used in the past, but maybe it was solved. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. This one commonly you'd use to check if one implementation of some code is faster than the other, or if it's meaningfully faster or not. I have used this one actually to check random number generators and see which one is like too slow or not. Yeah, so Son follows up by saying not to reverse engineer other games, but to track how much influence introducing a new object like the RNC influences the game engine outcomes. Yeah, I don't know. I think if we do manage to do a month of like doing Godot or game development, these types of tools will come out. It feels like I'm definitely a newbie in that field. And if someone comes in who is an expert in that field and says, oh yeah, like this seems like a very common thing that people will want to graph out, because most modern video games are uh, defined with variables and sliders that you can tweak out, like add the gravity or make this percent chance like slightly slower. Like there is a lot of tweaking happening. So I wouldn't be surprised. Like I would be surprised if there is no such tool that can do this for you. But I don't know it for JavaScript for sure. And yeah, and also this is not like a luck-based game, so that's the variables will be tweaking, soon be affecting how the game goes. But I guess we could use it to map it out the scores, like that sort of benchmark, because I was thinking that maybe you have like score multipliers according to the difficulty, and having this sort of like benchmarking solution would help, because you would be able to try out, all right, a person who gets everything right, how much score do they get? Or a person who gets everything right until the last stage, how much score would they get? It would help me visualize if the scaling of the score as the game, as the trivia train challenge rogue mode becomes harder, like to have, to not make it so only the last round of questions matter. You're on the final leg, final boss. If you just get this one correct, you get like 1 million score. So even if you've just barely survived, you'll always be beating someone who didn't beat the game. So that'd be an easy, like there should be a benchmarking solution for that. Like for the score curve, I guess is what I'm trying to think. Could apply for us. We may need to use something like this for the score curve to feel good. But yeah, I don't particularly know. Great question though. Yeah, Excalibur. I was there trying to think that let's say that the circles represent questions, and you start and you always have 5 questions to go through, and the category has been selected for you there. So from all the categories that we have, we've selected a category of 5 questions. And this is where you have like the fork in the road, where you decide, like you can see that you can either go like to this category that has like 5 questions, or this category which also has 5 questions. And maybe this will be like the category that you're strong in, and the other one is the category you are less strong, or whatever. Like one is computer science, the other one is like video games. But you have the choice, and having choice feels good. And each one of them forks 2 times yet again, but you can't quite see that far because we don't have like that many categories. And instead of all of them being questions, there should be an equal amount of like boss fights or sops or anything like that. And that would make what Son is talking about also useful. Like if you have like sop percent chance, then you'd want to simulate 1,000 runs to see is it like a reasonable amount of sops? Like how many times did the user get no sops? If you saw that it's quite a lot, then maybe you'll want to do something to make sure that they always get like 1 sop, or like the first, second stop is always stored. That's something that Balatro tweaked actually. So yeah, like many things to think about. So user definitely starts here. I'm thinking 5 questions. No sops for now or anything. It's just question, 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 question. And then they are at the decision point where they decide which track they should specialize on. And I'm thinking, should I be creating like the map This looks like the flux capacitor from Back to the Future. By the way, how did I draw this? Anyway, I won't keep drawing this forever, but just to make it clear that I wasn't just thinking Back to the Future here. Then you have another decision point which has like 2 more branches, and 2 is just something that I thought like that is common in rogue games. Maybe like you want 3 branching paths, or you never want branching paths, or every once in a while you have branching paths, but not always. All of this can be tweaked. And I'm thinking after like 4 decision points and 25 answers, I thought that may be like a cool ending point for you winning. But this would be what our map would look like. In the future, it would be nice to have a nice visualization so the user can actually see this. But the game should probably know exactly what each question is, while the user should know what the question coming up is, that's for sure. All triangle shapes are the Triforce in Zelda, Son says. Yeah, definitely. Like, it's one of the common things. Like, I don't have a tattoo, but as a Nintendo fanboy, it's like, oh, maybe a Triforce would look cool. I would do the henna version of that tattoo for sure. It just looks cool. It's like triangles. Flux capacitor, though, I've never thought about getting a tattoo of that, and that might be even more fun. And interestingly enough, the events in Back to the Future 1 and 2, they happened between my actual birthday. Like, I talked about my birthday at the start of the stream because I was talking about the game Rogue that came up before, but it's in October 1985, which makes me, like, most people I think like Back to the Future if they've seen it, but that makes it have like a special thing for me. It's like, oh, it's 1985 October, like around the date that I was born, and my mother's maiden name is this. Anyway, yeah, so, oh, October 85, fellow Libra, maybe, probably. My sister is a Libra as well. But enough about zodiac signs. We were saying that the game will know exactly, I think, our game will know exactly which question it's going to be asking the user. But the user will not know. The user will just know that these are the questions coming up, and potentially that this is the type of track you'll be getting in the future. And you don't want the user to look too far ahead, because maybe they'll be like, you know, restarting, re-rolling, and hoping for like better categories. Game design considerations. But should this state be in a column in a database? This was the whole thing I was trying to throw out here. And if so, how do I represent it? So if I have like a map state column or something, or just the whole map, how do I represent this? If it was just an array of questions, if you knew like all the possible questions, then it'd be easy. It'd be like, oh, the 5 questions there, then the 5 more, blah, 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 until you get to the end. But you have these forks in their own. So maybe it could be like an object of objects. It feels like a tech challenge. Like usually it's pub quiz trivia, the things that they have you do in interviews. But actually, when suddenly you're making a game, they start being kind of important. Like each node could have a link to what node is next. And oh, this question node leads to another question node, leads to another question node, leads to another question node, another question node, and then to like a decision, like the train track switch node. Like the moment I got into the technical mindset, like I think the more on track I'm getting. And this, you decide what the next node is. So on the decision node, you get like option A and option B. And you can store anything in a database, so that could be fine. So is it like map nodes? And then maybe you have like a choice. like the game node. Maybe each one has a type, which would be question or track switch. And yeah, you could have like, you know, boss or something like that, but who knows? Who knows what that would be? And it could be the end. Could be game over, I guess. Could be win and win. And each game node maybe has a next node. Someone says games are not really as innocent as they look. Toys and games are the prelude to serious ideas. Node so and saved on social media. I agree. My favorite like gaming related quote is from John Carmack, legendary game developer in the Doom team, OG Doom team as well. Where like I'm gonna be butchering the quote. Anyway, John Carmack, besides that, he has also majored in rocket science. Afterwards, he's done quite a lot with virtual reality and augmented reality. He was at Facebook and then went to fund his own business based on AR, MR. Anyway, Carmack has this to say: video games are hard. John Carmack, rocket scientist. So yeah, they can be tricky. Not just a web dev thinking that games can be hard. John Carmack. Can I reference a node like this? I think so. So a question node has a next node, extends game node, I guess. Oh, I need interfaces then. No equal signs. So a game node has a type. I guess the type is question, isn't it? And the next node is gonna be a game node. But track switch, track options, abstract switch, but then you have options. Should it be like ABC and that's it? Maybe. So you can go to any one of them. You select any one of them. And yes, that's it. yeah, I guess the map would just be a series of game nodes. Call it possible tracks. And in the end, like, at any time you can have the game over, I guess. So that's not a specific node you go to. But maybe you have like an end, like destination. Could be endless mode as well. Alright, so this kind of makes sense. Each node leads to another. It feels like a pop trivia question, but I think we'll find a case for it. So it came, should it have the map from the beginning? And if that's the case, like the question node, all right, it has that it is a question. I guess it should have that a question ID, the question that we should be asking. So I think we're getting somewhere. But no, this is not an array of game nodes. It's just a game node that has like a million game nodes. And maybe the start game node is like something different. And then you always go somewhere else. Or do you always start with a question node? Not sure. Let's say we just start like this. All right. So we have the seed, which maybe we won't use again. I'm not sure. And we have the map, which will be Jason. And no default, you need to generate this, and the type will be game node. And that's it. And so when you are through a question, should it have like a state, like success, skip, like result, like how did you proceed? So maybe that's some state that we want. Do we want to make it like current? Or not? Maybe we do. State visit status. So is it the current one? Like, did you successfully pass it, or what did you do? The question node feels like it will have a state. So let's have these states. So the same thing. Will Copilot be faster? For all of these things. Good. What else? So we have the map. The map is going to be this, and we'll generate it in the beginning. I guess all the questions we have at the time. Would we need the seed again? Maybe not. I guess we don't need the seed. Unless we want to store. Nah, we don't store. Let's just store the seed. Should we store the seed or not? That's my question. Like, I'm thinking if you have like leaderboards like this run, like you made like this, but I'm not sure if I like that idea. Let's store it for now. Would we want anything else? So all of these, the nodes, will only be useful if we actually visualize the user here, the map at some point, because we'll want to highlight that oh, they're here, and you know, maybe they missed this one or they skipped that one. It's good to have, like, it's for UI purposes, but we'll have no UI for the map in the moment. It's something for the future, but it also helps me think about it, I guess, because this game state we do need. And yeah, the player data is separate and the score is separate as well. So they just put this. I guess just keep the score. We may want to like order by this or something. Order by score. Who knows? Probably not. We could look here for the score. It's an integer, like I guess these are integers too. So not sure. Let's let it here. These are numbers, come on. Get it together. And player data. Here. Cool. So now I get like the validation here. Neat. The thing I'm thinking silently in my head is, should I just put the score in here in player data and not have it be a separate column? My gut says no, so I'll just say no and move on with my life. Right. So I think that's what we need. After thinking about this for 1 hour. Therefore, let's see if we can apply this somewhere. So we have created these new schemas. Let's run some migrations, create some migrations, run them, and try to put some data in there. I guess some questions for this would be neat. And then actually try to use it. And we'll talk more about seeded randomness. So for seeding data, have this script which seeds one quiz with 10 questions, and we probably want to not create a new game, but create rogue questions. So when we try to play a new game, then we can generate that map that is going to have the questions that we need. So let's say seeded rogue questions. And we can actually get this from guess we're not in source, so maybe the result directory is not in source, so maybe they cannot see it. Let's see. Rogue schema, what did we call it? It's a rogue question indeed. Correct. Rogue. Yeah, but how would we get there? Get there by going back once and going to source, lib, server. All right. But what should the question have? It should have a simple answer. It should have a difficulty 1. It should have a category, computer science, I guess. Is it like math? How different? Like, should this be like web dev? Let's do math. Oof, and then I need like 5 per level. We'll be here for forever writing questions. So maybe we'll just do like a few. Science. The thing with the nodes is that we can adjust the length of the game. Actually, we could even have the user select, do you want like a short, a medium, or like a large game, long game, and that affects how many questions the whole thing will have. So that's fun. That's something that makes things flexible. Yeah, the question is, does math qualify as computer science? Probably. Let's just do this. So computer science, let's say. Let's is that all we have? Insert row question. Can have an evaluation instruction. Difficulty should always be there, so good to know. Not null. So what else are we missing? I think that's it. Right. And no prompt here. How much is this? Sure. That's two of them. Difficulty 2 questions. Let's see. 2 questions for difficulty 2. How many sciences of Pentagon have? Computer science question. How many states? There are things that are like more controversial. Like ON notation. So let's just ask chat-gpt. Let's give us a few questions. Can you give me... Ah, that's the way to go. Thought of this earlier. Difficulty 2. What does HTML stands for? Fair enough. Oh, they're doing a complexity one. Type or interface in TypeScript difficulty 5. Semicolons or no semicolons as well. What is the purpose of CSS? To style HTML documents. That's kind of existential. Alright, so let's delete those, bring those in quickly, just for demo purposes, so it should be fine. It's having difficulty applying the thing. But why? Should be a quick copy and paste. Right, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. What is the time complexity of inserting an element into a binary search tree? So that's definitely not difficulty 2. Come on. All again in the other case. Come on. Let's say that this is like 4. But it's a good question to have evaluation instructions. Sure. What's the purpose of CSS? First day of CS 101. If you learn the thing with big O notation and about time complexity, like if you learn about it, then you know, like this is like a simple one. But I'd say most people watching would not know too much about time complexity. I guess if you're interviewing, you'd probably have prepped, so it should be fine. What does the term algorithm mean in computer science? Step-by-step procedure for solving a problem or accomplishing some end. Okay, don't like that one. Yeah, what is the primary difference between a stack and a queue? Nice. A stack is last in, first out, while a queue is first in, first out. interesting. So I'll make this. Good. I think this is where I get exposed. Explain the concept of polyforms. Okay, man. Listen. What is big notation and why is it important in computer science? So that's an easier question because I think you may know the big notation before you know the algorithm complexity. Anyway, explain the concept of hashing. Okay. Let's say trivia questions. Merge sort. All right, I like that. All right, so let's copy those. So in database management, what does ACID stand for? I wouldn't answer this like that. What does the term pseudocode refer to? I would say it's text that looks like code, but is not applicable to any particular language, so you cannot actually run it. It captures the spirit of what you want to do, but it doesn't actually work. An informal high-level description of the operating principle of a computer program. I guess that's a more machine way to say the same thing. What's the primary function of a compiler? Source code into executable code. Will we be here forever? Probably. Okay, what's the difference between compiler and transpiler? Son says, what algorithm was Google most well known for bringing to web search in 2008? That's your suggestion. And I don't know the answer. Maybe I have known it in the past, but I will look it up. What difficulty do you think that would be? Irrespective from me not knowing the answer. No. Converts code to no. So transpiler converts code to the same level of abstraction. There you go. Good. So I wanted to make these 4, I guess, to have a 4 ones. And I need. Let's do the 2 1. I like it. If I see it in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I'll be like, I need to think about this. Would it be something about relevancy? Ranking search, ranking algorithm? The ranking algorithm? Page ranking algorithm? Let's see. Page rank. Ah, all right. Hopefully that's correct, because I did get to page ranking algorithm, so didn't remember the exact name, but I think I got there. Cool. Not found out yet again. Haha. And difficulty 5. Let's do like a couple. It's map reduce. Oh no, I thought that'd be like Mongo. I remember like some animations that were talking about map reduce. Let's see. Let's ask Google. When was PageRank introduced? 1997. Quite off. Found out after all. Right. So I wanted to ask 5 out of 5. Let's see what we get. Clearly, I have not seen these. What is the cap theorem? Oh, sort. Ah, the halving problem with Alan Turing as the answer is a fun one. The Byzantine generals problem. Wow. So let's copy this one. Right. Right. Someone says PageRank was their first feature, Google's first feature when they launched, which makes sense. Should have known that. What could be Google related? 2008 is actually relatively recently, isn't it? You must have brought something into the table. All right, so finally we're through one category. Let's guess we have a few computer science ones, so maybe we can start like this. Difficult one, they suggest. Gaming. Yeah, I'll just we are trying to do a simple category, but let's say the first run is through any category, so that's fine. So we can keep doing something else instead of figuring out the questions. Come on. Yeah, it's Mandela effect with Eris. When I played, Eris's name was Eris, but then in the films it was Aerith because I guess it was how many characters you can fit in a name in that game, which also happens in Chrono Trigger. So your main character by default His name is Chrono without an H because they couldn't fit the H there. But officially it's Chrono, I guess. That's not a simple answer. It's difficult answer. And I'd say this year should be like difficulty one. Oh, had more computer science ones. Oh well. C2 and C1 is like super easy. Category computer science, category computer science. Is this pop culture? Ah, we should have like a history category or something. History, mythology. There you go. Is it history? Not really. So you need to have seen the flag. Say that most people wouldn't guess Africa, but if you know, you know, I guess. If it's the pump quiz trivia style. Oh. They stole my question. Oh no, they just pasted these in the end. I see. That's where it was pasted. Alright. So we have a few simple questions. Let's like pop culture. There you go. That's of course pop culture. Is there anyone that have added mythology? Oh. I had all the Odysseus ones. Category mythology. Who famously wrote the Harry Potter series mythology? I guess it's like fantasy or something. Multiple children's myths. Oh, maybe that's like harder. What's the name of the flying horse? This is Persephone, not really. Are we leaving a category out? Anyone? Fantasy. Dungeons and Dragons. What's the name of the most iconic dragon? Is that gonna be like Tiamat or something? I don't know. What? Right, so we have one of each. We have a few questions. We can see the database after we create the migration. I think that's it. We have a few with evaluation instructions, and then we can kind of move on with our lives. Right, so we were actually, let's actually run things after this writing interlude. So to generate migrations, we do db generate migrations. Let's see what we got. Flashy Megan. Rogue games. Oh, default is actually this, interestingly enough. Hard coded. And what else? So yeah, these names should be different. Or maybe not. We'll find out. What does Copilot think? There will be a conflict. Thought so. All right, fair enough. So this snapshot thing, yeah, also creates index thing. So delete those two guys. Revert the journal. And give those things unique names. From the rogue schema. It's this. And it's this. Generate again. Curvy War Machine. We didn't get this one. Yeah, we got Open Nico Minoru. So we have this table, this table. We are tied to this. Great. Questions are not tied to anything. I guess they could be tied to a user. Maybe a user has created them. Yeah, that's something that I would want, because I would want people to help me write them. Yeah, so let's attach them to a user, actually. So let's do this. And let's call it author ID this time. So again, Sean asks, does SQLite write locally to the hard drive always, or is it a choice whether someone wants to host the DB remotely? So in practice, SQLite always writes locally, but what does locally mean? In our case, even for the tests, we do write to the local hard drive, and we are running a local server with writes to a local file here. So let's look at the packet JSON. So we are running, so it will write to this file specifically, and when it comes to test, it will write to this file specifically. But what Torso is doing is that they're offering an API, so through calls you can talk to their database, which is right into a file that is right there, remotely hosted, I guess. So one of the benefits of SQLite is that pretty much you just tell it right to this file locally, and it can quickly run the migrations, seed the data, delete, like do all the operations super fast, which like getting Postgres to run on your machine can be a bit trickier, and anything that needs like a Docker to be spun up will take a bit of time restarting them and all of those. So that's one of the reasons I like them. So SQLite always writes to a local file, but in our case, for local development, we usually and tests, we use a literally local file, but for production and sometimes even in development, we talk to via HTTP to the database Turso is providing for us, has created for us. But that database, as far as it's concerned, it is writing to a local file, is what I'm trying to say. It's local to it. But we're not talking to that file directly, I guess that's what I want to say. Right, so this. So Son's question, cross-compatibility for the same game using the same account across web and mobile. I see. So I guess on you're thinking of Swift, where when you create an iOS app, for example, it does create a local SQLite database for many things, which stays in the user's phone. So no, that's not the case. The web app is talking to the Turso app every time. So if you go to Trivia Train, like when we get the Rogue game live, or how the profiles work, even visiting this page and creating an account doesn't create something in your local stores or something that's local to you, to like your browser or your device. It is talking to the SQLite hosted by Turso. So no matter where you access, after you log in, you log into your own account, and it's going to be the same with the Rogue game. No matter where you play from, so long as you're logged in, you'll be watching the game that you had in progress. We're not creating anything local. We are creating something local using cookies here for the daily game or the weekly game, or however long I played this, but that's something different. That is not talking to the SQLite database. I think there are other solutions for having like your own database in local storage on the web. Maybe we'll talk about them in the future. But yeah, we are using SQLite, but it's a distributed hosted SQLite as far as the production app is concerned. Everyone is talking to the same database. And that's one of the reasons where I want for this game to only have people that are logged in to be able to play it. It's going to be just easier. No worries. I like explaining things. Right, so delete this, and revert this. This file is how Torso keeps, Drizzle keeps track of what you've changed between migrations. And I'm doing this because of I wanted to attach an author ID here. Okay, I did it. So let's try again. Generate the migrations. Have a look at them. What did we call it? Careful Goliath. What a compliment. Right, so raw games, they are attached to a player. which is going to be tied to your user account. And these things feel kind of correct. The messages are attached to a game and they don't have a player ID. We decided we don't need to. It's what will be seen here. And the questions we've talked about will be picking from those questions in order to create the map that will be storing here. And that's it. Couple indexes created. Interesting how... Oh, there is a statement breakpoint here. Sure. Hiding. All right. So let's run this migration and seed. It migrates with the command. Great. But for the seeding to actually happen, we wrote like all these questions, but we didn't do anything for them. Uh-oh. The seeded questions actually should be mid-game ID. Yes, that's the problem. Author ID. All right. So here, when we do the run seed, we throw this error. Great. Create a new quiz. Sure. And we need a generation. Yes. Where did we put this? Here. So generate seeded questions for generate seeded questions, seeded role questions for author. Say author ID. This should return this. And that should be fine. What's the problem? All right. I keep forgetting this should be an array. Right. So on the run seed, let's copy this. They call it something different. All right, and then we bring in the rogue table, the rogue questions table. And we insert the seeded rogue questions. All right, let's seed. Should work. All right, 26 rogue questions, not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, so now we have some questions to play around with. And we can finally plonk, plonk, plonk. Generate a map. So we have these questions, and we've shown the map. We want to generate something like this to keep in the game state when the user first clicks a link to play the Rogue game, if they don't have one already in progress. And to do that, we'll need to select some random questions again. So we'll be defining some rules on how this will actually happen. So let's make that happen. In our Rogue server page here, if you don't have an existing run, you should create a new one, but we will probably be putting all of this logic inside a repo, like a Rogue game repo or something. Let's see. Call it Rogue. So the Rogue repo interface, let's say like we don't find a game yet. Let's do like a new game thing. I mean, that's all we want. Maybe it takes like a city or something. Let's start new. Takes nothing, returns something, I guess. We'll figure it out. Start. And we call it Rogue repo interface. New game, let's call it new game. And then it returns a select game. Game. It's not a real thing. Oof, delete everything. Don't have it. Right. Will I actually use it here? Probably not. What else do I have here? Probably 2 months. What will we be returning here? Something that has an ID. Maybe it will be returning like a select Rogue game. We'll see. We'll see how the implementation goes about. Too many things here. So let's see, db Rogue repo. And let's say that this exports a class db Rogue repo. Yeah, so this is the db magic. Yes, let's pass it with a constructor this time. Constructor, that's what this should be called. And this is our diesel database, I guess. Is that why I didn't type it before? I guess so. So I didn't particularly want to get the type of this. Just invert. So here, and type these things the same. Great. And for the new game, I promise something. We'll see. Export type game. Maybe it's gonna be this. But we'll see. So to create a new game, there nothing. It's this to be. And then, who knows? We'll do all of these things after a little break. And in our little dependency injection handle, let's go actually to our type definition and say we also have the rogue repo. Bring that in and say that the rogue repo is a new TB rogue repo. This guy, but it also needs a database connection, so we can just import it here. And I said we're doing the same and refactor the other ones to do the same thing. And of course, let's remember to say that this implements the rogue repo interface. All right, so quick break, and I'll be right back. Be right back for more. We're back. All right, so let's see. Now that I'm armed with even more coffee and have increased my powers, let's see here. When we want to create a new game, this is how all of this thing is gonna run. And to create a new game, this is kind of pseudocode. We want to start new. Start. Let's say game. This one should implement the insert rogue game thingy, and we know that we're missing a few things here. Definitely a player ID, which we should be passing in. And maybe that's it actually. Just a player ID. Right, fair enough. So that's the only thing we need. So we'll have the player ID, but we also need the map, which will generate somehow, and we'll generate it using a seed. That's why I have this and then talk about seeding. And I guess the score will be 0, player data will be the default, creator data. Yeah, what we need is like the map. And to create the map, we're gonna need a seed. So we do have a new game thing. And we can have a private method or something. Generate map. Somehow. But we'll want the map generation to be taking seed. And I keep talking about seeding, and the reason is that we'll probably have an array of questions, question IDs, something. And we'll want to select a few of the questions there to put them in order, or like random shuffle them or something like that. So the random question ID. And commonly you'd be using the built-in JavaScript methods, including mathRandom, and this one, unlike other languages, is not seeded. There is no way to get the same result so long as you've given it the same seed. This is used by some engineers as ammunition to say that JavaScript is not a serious language. But the truth is that JavaScript was created in like a week many years ago, and not every decision was the best, but has matured, evolved, has extended quite a lot, and is much better now. However, there are some things that remain in place from the start, maybe because there is the whole JavaScript one JavaScript concept where you never break anything. But some things, just in general, if you didn't have them in the foundation, it's very hard to ever change. So I don't think this will ever change. I don't think we'll have JavaScript seeded random replacing this one. But there are ways to ensure that you can have seeded random where you can get the same results back so long as you seed it first. Why do we want this? There are many reasons why you'd want your random selection to be random enough, but also reproducible. As we've mentioned earlier, you may want to play the same game as your friend. So this will generate a few questions for me to play in order, and maybe I want to share to someone else and see how you did in the exact same test, for example. That would be fun. So I want it to be random, but I want it to be reproducible, so I can share the seed with someone else, and then we get the same quiz. So that's the sort of it. To make that work, since this cannot be seeded, there are quite a few algorithms that exist. I have linked a couple in the description. There was a great answer here by Bryce, which also links to a GitHub repo, as it happens, by Bryce again. He's done the work. And apparently the SFC, small fast counter 32 algorithm, may be the best one, at least for the 32-bit ones. Maybe fast enough and great for our use case. There are some benchmarks here on how fast they are compared to others. And I think this is, the 32 one is actually 1 to 8-bit. Interesting. Anyway, that's the one I'll be attempting to use, which means that we'll need to copy paste it in our code base. But wait a minute. If we'll clean up later, it means, is this a real thing? Should we pick another one? Maybe not. Anyway, when we're copying random code from the internet, especially from Stack Overflow, do we know it works? Is it just because it's upvoted? Does it still work? Probably not. So we should have some unit tests for this, just to ensure that it does return random numbers, especially since it's doing things with like the bit address and like operators where you don't usually use in day-to-day life. So let's see. Let's try to copy this one and see what happens. How do you see this though? Maybe in this one it has an example. Oh, there you go. The seeds it like this. So it needs 4 seeds for each one. Interesting. And use math random to do the seeds. That feels a bit wrong. To be honest, what happens if you give the same seed on all of them? Is it like 32 bits for each one of them? So if you give the same one, it's the same? Maybe. All right, we'll try it out. We'll try it out. So this may be more likely to be up to date. And what we want is potentially something in lib. A new method called rnz.ts. This returns a random number, right? You call it and you create the random number generator. Create rnz. Which would be this. And I guess all of them are numbers. Of course, so this returns a method. Sure. That's the actual number generated you're returning. So these things, function returns a function. Let it's const binary. Sure. Cool. Let's leave a comment there. Good idea whenever you take things from Stack Overflow or anywhere else on the internet. So we have this, and maybe we can have, let's call this RNC and have RNC to test. Yes. Hello, my dog. How are you? And do we have another test? We have the simple test, which we won't need anymore. And let's say it returns to generate a random number. Which any method would do. Would it actually be this? That'd be crazy. Let's run it. Let's run this. Like on the existing terminal. I've done this before. Anyway, we have this. Let's npm test unit, I believe. Runs the Vitess test. Great. So it returns 0. Sure. Would it always return 0? That's let's call it like a few times. Right, so it did return something else. How small is the number? It's kind of close, to be honest. Can I see it to be number? And how big is the number? So math random returns something from 0 to 1. So I'm wondering how big is this? It's to the power of -10, so it should be like a very small number. Interestingly enough. So let's say that the seed is how do I split this in form? In 4, maybe that'd be fun. Nope. But then some of them would be the same. Wait, now. Yeah, let's just do this. I need more entropy for this to work. Who knows? So my idea is, right, even the first one is different, which makes sense. And the A results. I want an array where we can be like, yeah, that's a way to do it. And then I want to create another one. One array to be the same as the other, which is correct. So it produces the same numbers, which is what we want. I'm just wondering what the results are. So what type of numbers do we get back? All right, from 0 to 1, that feels appropriate. Feels like something we'd get with math random. But any good examples on how to see them? Needs 4 different seeds, which is like fair enough. I guess we could use math random to generate the seeds indeed. It wouldn't be the end of the word. There is a section of like seed in here. Do they use the same thing in other ways? Yeah, they often do this. So should the seed be like 4 things? Maybe. Thinking about it on the fly. This one is not random, but and let's see what this generates. Big number, I guess. Yeah, we could use like a pipe there to store the 4 seeds for our big seed. that text field, so it's fine, right? Thinking maybe this. Let's make them all the same. Now we're binding them, maybe it will be slower. Anything to split it, and yeah, make them not numbers. And then possible. Okay, just pass them like this. And why am I doing this? Probably. Yeah, this looks scalable. What's the problem? Is there a problem? Don't think so. Forgot one parentheses. And this one, just pass it the string seed. And it should work the same. Great. No need to console log anything. Just works. Same thing. But now we have like seed A. And we have seed B. And we expect these not to equal. Let's look at what they look like. Wow, so small. All right, so it does look like they're all from 0 to 1. Great. Good. So the thing we pasted from the internet looks like it's correct. And now let's do them up. Good morning, Mike. Nice to have you here. Lovely sun emoji there. So somehow we should create a map to store in our game, which will be deciding whether to have, well, I guess it will always have a number of questions and then rank suites. And we'll be using the random number generator to make the decisions. So maybe we just pass it the RNG here. I think. We'll see. So it will have some question IDs. This should be returning Svelte map. Yeah, we're talking about a different map. In this instance, we're talking about a map like this. So we'll have a game where you go through questions, like a train goes through tracks. You'll be going like from question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you'll have a question point where you get to select whether to switch tracks and get like this category, or switch tracks and get that category. It's gonna be neat. It's gonna be neat. So more of a cartography type of map is what I was thinking of, the computer science map. So this should return a game map. Did we say game map? Is that a real thing? Where were we doing all this? In the rogue schema. We have the game node. The map is just a game node. Okay, fair enough. So it should return this. And a game node always starts with a question. Always starts with a question. We need like 4 questions or whatever. I guess the generate map will have like more things. Other, like you would be able to say short, medium, large game. But for now, let's just pick 2 questions for every difficulty and let's get on with it. So the first is going to be a question. Question node, which I guess it means it always starts with a question node, and a question node what does it look like? Question ID, the next node, and all of that. All right. Current, correct, incorrect, or skip, or future. So it should be also, maybe it doesn't have it. The next node should be something eventually. Maybe I'm not gonna type this yet. So for the very first node, we need to select a question for this to be. And then the next node should also be a question node. And then let's say you have like a the track switch node, and then you have a couple more. So yeah, that's something that I'll definitely need to be thinking about. Can do like some horrible logic here for sure. And in the end, we will be returning the game node, so that's gonna be fine. That's not string. So, all right. Not asynchronous. Ah, maybe it is asynchronous. We'll see. So that's gonna be a promise. So how do we go about this? We want to generate the whole map for every difficulty. Two, 3, 4, 5. Would we do it for everyone? Add 2 questions. Generate question node. That's kind of interesting. So we'll have the root node, which should be a question. And then we should decide what the question should be and what the next question, what the next node should be. It's gonna be tricky. We may need to return to this in the future. We could be talking to the database to find all the questions of difficulty level and then just putting one in there. But we also don't want to get the same question twice, and we don't want to do like a million database operations either. But maybe that's fine. Maybe that's fine, he says. That's how you get to like 100k per month. But it's not on Vercel, so it's fine. So would I want to fetch all the possible question IDs? And maybe I would be picking the genre as well here. Maybe I would. So I'm starting with pseudocode and then seeing where we end up. Am I getting the questions from AI? No, we've written the questions and we'll have UI, so you can create. We can create questions as well. And I'm thinking that there will even be a moderation system, so anyone with an account can submit a question, but I'll need to approve it to actually have it be available for selection, to actually have it be in the pool for questions. And yeah, it wasn't like the most riveting time, but we did create quite a few questions here, mostly computer science ones. But for every level, I want to add 2 questions and a switch node. But with this level of nesting, it seems like it'd be easier to do it the other way around. Here, we want to attach like a question ID. Let's say that it's like a parcel question node. Dear Lord. Like TypeScript makes all the crazy things that I want to do here quite hard, actually. I guess I can have an array of all the nodes and then convert that array into the thing that follows every which one. Ah, yeah. Why did I want? Why is it not just an array? It's because we have the paths. Like at some point we will be saying either go there or there. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Question ID is what? And then I can't nest this too much. I don't want to reassign the root node for every level. So yeah, we'll need to think about this. Will the coffee get me over the line? I think I'll need to stop and think about it on the weekend and then come back on this on Tuesday, actually. But yeah, maybe I'll need a wider monitor if I keep going with my plan of having all the nodes be here. That'd be quite silly. If I didn't worry about the levels, let's see how it would look. Let's try to create one. So the type will be question as question ID will be like some question ID. The next node will be another node. That's gonna be like a question node with another question ID and another next node. Game node again, just has a type. But surely this would be it. Anyway, let's keep going. Next node will be something. The next node would be of type track switch, and it would have possible tracks. And each of the possible tracks wouldn't actually be a game node, it would be a question node. I guess. Maybe not. And then, so this would have like a type question with a question ID, alpha, and a next node and all of that. And type question ID beta. But I don't want to nest like a million levels deep on the right. So I should better think of how to attach the nodes on the edges and that sort of thing. Maybe like would I start from the end? But the end is like many possible branches, so not quite. You also kind of have like sections. Maybe that'd be an interesting way to go about it. You have the branching paths, but you also have questions. Why did I need the seed or the RNG is for the question IDs. Like somehow we'll have all the applicable question IDs here, and then I will be using seeded random number generator to select the question ID that I want here. Also making sure to not repeat the same question further down the line. And having the map be an object also allows me to have power-ups in the future that are like switch, like time travel, go back, something like this, which could be neat. Yeah, I think like 3 hours in, I think I may need to give this a rest for a while and think about it over the weekend. Like some recursion will save me here. All I need is a method that keeps returning, like keeps adding to the object until it gets to a limit. So if we decide that the total number is going to be, total number of questions, it's going to be 25, then it will need to nest this thing 25 times. And the next node. So yeah, we need like a create root node or something, which is I guess the map. Something that picks question IDs. You give it the question IDs, it picks them, but it keeps adding the next nodes. Maybe the question IDs are like placeholders, and then you do the operations to translate them. But you've decided on the track switches. I guess that'd be a silly way to do it. Like you always define the object, and then you have like placeholder for every question ID, and then every time you have another method that replaces every time you find placeholder with a question ID. So that would satisfy the requirements, but it just be like so silly, like the 25 levels to the right. But it feels like that's like the next node way. I feel like that's the way to go. Maybe sometimes you don't have a next node. Is that true? Game overview map in TypeScript is a cool thing to type down. I'll need to write this down, like for inspiration from others, for sure. Let me write this down. There must be an easier way. Like we found the random number generator method. There must be a way to do this without me making this up. So should I ask chat-gpt? I'm afraid of the answers. But let's see, for the fun of it, we're here. GraphQL. Every time I say nodes and edges, I always think of GraphQL as well. Maybe because the GitHub GraphQL API is doing the nodes and edges thing. Yeah, so they have the concept of you have the pointer node, which is this one, but then the current node is something else, so you keep adding to it. So that kind of makes sense. Generate this dynamically, like possible questions. Yeah, that'd be cool. That looks decent, actually. And you can also make something where it's like, oh, if this is divided by 5, then introduce track suites as well. So that kind of makes sense. What did we say here? Not here. Not here, not here. Just going to take player ID. String. So the first question should be based, or is it like nothing? Are we back to the same thing? Sometimes there is no next node, so that's the thing. That's the thing. Sometimes it was the final question. Or are you in like the end? What did we say? Yeah, you may be at the end, so there's always a next node actually. So somehow we figure out the first question. That's fair enough. So in here, what are we doing here? We're doing something. For every level I want to do this, but 5 times I want to add questions to it. Right, we're getting somewhere. But not adding to the next node. Should I add something here? Self-hosted AI in VS Code. No, it's the GitHub Copilot. You are correct. You are correct. I does not know that this could be a question node. Like the question node implements game node, right? Should I say implements? Not a real thing. Interfaces cannot implement anything. Is it satisfies? I was thinking. So wait. So first time. Do I want to add another question? Maybe not. Yeah, because there is TypeScript as well. I will keep talking to myself. I will have to come back to this. So we add 5 questions, and then we don't actually add the next node here. Doesn't like this. Then I need to offer like 2 questions here. Yet again. This one's not a real thing. So that's my basic idea where I will leave it today. We start with a game node that will always be a question node, and then for every difficulty level we are supposed to add like 5 questions. At the end of the 5 questions, so after we are breaking that loop, then we add the track switch, so they go into either one of those. But then for either one of those we need to add possible paths to go through like the level. We'll be using the level, so log use level to fetch appropriate questions. and maybe from a specific category. So then we add the track switch, but only if we're not on the last level. But we won't be. Yeah, not on the last level. So I guess that would be... Else we want a new type. End. Right, so that kind of feels like it will eventually work. So we'll have the root node somewhere. We'll be adding a question ID based on all the questions, the raw questions that we have on the database. And then we need to loop through all the difficulty levels. Maybe this takes like a game length variable, or how hard the game should be. So maybe you can band it like from 1 to 3 or like 2 to 4 or whatever. This could be a nice customization option. But also, this could be dynamic. The number of questions per level. But also, in the future, we could have, like, instead of a question, you have, like, one SOP on each run or something, or a random chance to get a SOP on each run. We'll see. And maybe on the track switch, you can also buy items or something. But yeah, at the end of each level, maybe you have a boss fight as well, but you will definitely have a track switch where you can select whether to go on this track or the other. But then, that's where it actually becomes kind of tricky. Because then you need to do this for every one of these, like each possible track. I guess now it's an array of only 2, but I don't know, maybe each track should only have 2 forks. Maybe we should look ourselves into each track switch only has 2 possible ones, not 3, not 4, like it will always be 2, which may make it easier for the future. But as it stands, as we have it be an array, for every one that we have here, we should go through the same process again and add potential questions for every level. So for every track here is where we want to do this. For every level, do this. But then, so that's the thing, the current node doesn't become the next node. The current node is like 2. It's either this or this, and then it becomes 4 nodes and 8 nodes and 16 nodes. So yeah, that will take a while, is one thing. And that will have a lot of data, is yet another thing. So yeah, we'll be thinking about it. Son also says that you'll be looking into the GitHub. Please share any findings on Discord as well. I think this shows that as interested as I am in playing video games, I haven't created enough video games. I should be doing a game dev hackathon at the very least. But yeah, the idea is when you hit this page, we create a new game if you haven't already created one. And we will be running this crazy method to derive the map from the beginning. So we know what will be presenting to you. And then we'll start adding messages according to how far along the map that you've gone. So we'll say like a quick hi, and then it's going to be the first question. You answer it either correctly or incorrectly. If you answer incorrectly, you'll be taking a hit. You'll be losing some life. Maybe it's like 3 strikes and you're out. But for every 5 you get correctly, maybe on the track switch, maybe you have an option to either get a score multiplier or replenish some health or replenish your max health. So who knows, there could be some strats there. But because this is quite tricky, it will be worth investigating what's the best way to do this what's the least crazy way to do this at the very least. And yeah, this will get expensive fast, for sure. We're talking quite a lot of nodes there. Four track switches with 2 forks, 8. That will be adding up for sure. And I'll need to derive some questions as well, which will be the fun bit. But yeah, for now, this will be it for today. Let me know if you want to keep going on Tuesday with this. Let me know in the Discord what your thoughts are. I think it's going to be quite fun. But also, as promised, I do want to get to the CRM functionality as well, CRM, CMS type of functionality. Maybe working with Sanity.io, maybe working with Contentful. That's another thing that I will be looking into. We got the domain for a reason. I will keep coming back to Trivia Train for sure, but let me know what you want to see the most. All right, any last thoughts and concerns? We didn't make it that far, although I did make it far into my jar of coffee. I guess not that bad. Although in the end it's like just winning. That would be like a quick one. So this like took us a long time. The game state took us a long time. Submitting the answers is going to be quite similar to what we've done before. So cracking the map, like creating the map, is the biggest thing that we need to do. If we crack that, then everything else is going to be quite similar to what we're doing with Trivia Train. So this, how many years in total was Odysseus away from home until he returned depicted in the Odyssey? This thing, we even have the confetti stuff. Answering is going to be easy. But creating this map is going to be complex. Let's think about it over the weekend and see what we come back with. And even the new elements that I want to add, like the victory screen, is going to be like the share screen that we added in a previous stream. Even the health is going to be like some new UI that will be a check to see if the user can continue or not, if they answered too many things incorrectly. It's not going to be as tricky. The trickiest thing is going to be cracking the map, having the nodes within nodes. Maybe that's not a good idea from the start. That's why taking a break is also quite sensible. Maybe I don't need to calculate every question in advance. I just need to know these are the 5 questions that are coming, and then it's going to be a track switch, and then you select, like you know, you give you the choice that it's going to be either red or blue, and then you calculate what you're going to get there. So maybe we don't even design the whole map from the beginning. You're just there, and then we tell you that the options are this, but we haven't actually calculated what they are. So we don't need to go further deeper to like 2 parallel futures and then 4 and then 16 and however many, 2, 4, 8, 16. So maybe that's another way to go about it. Just figure out the first 5 questions and then know that you are going to end up on a track switch, and then give you the 2 options out of the 6 possible ones we randomize and we offer you 2. And the moment you commit that you're gonna take the blue track, then we generate blue questions from you. We haven't actually generated this feature. So yeah, thinking about this, maybe that's more sensible, but not sure. I'll take a break, rethink, and I'll also be looking at the Discord if anything related comes up. Thank you very much for spending some time with me today. I hope you had fun. Goes to show that there are some subjects that I know more about, some that I know superficially, and then you get to it, you're like, oh yeah, this feels like something that must be solved somehow. And I kind of get how it would be solved, but actually putting it into practice, tricky. So let's study up and see what we come back with. We'll be back on Tuesday. If you want to see something else, also feel free to suggest. I think we'll give it another crack on Trivia Train, but you never know. And if we do try Trivia Train again, it's likely on next Friday we'll be doing new CMS stuff to keep things fresh. The other thing we did on the last stream, I didn't actually show, was the Cloudflare checkboxes, which is quite fun. You click the checkboxes based on the 1 million checkboxes thing, and they snap back. But I don't think anyone was particularly interested with this experiment, although we did learn a few things about WebSockets and Cloudflare. A lot of things about Cloudflare, actually. So that's another thing we did relatively recently, but it's nice to come back to Trivia Train, but it's also nice to show some other things and see what people want to see the most. All right, I'll have a bit of a break. I'll see what my dog is up to. She's been snoring, but I think it's her feeding time, so I'll have to go. Again, thanks everyone, and in particular the people in the chat. Thank you for keeping me company. Have a lovely, lovely weekend, and I'll see you on Tuesday. Goodbye.